Okay, what we're going to do today is I'm going to talk you through your next task on Show My Homework, which is to read these quotations from Macbeth, and we're going to talk together about how to answer questions 2, 3, and I'll show you how to approach this challenge part of the work as well. So you're going to need to be looking at the extract. Have a little read over the glossary, because I'm not going to talk you through that. You're going to have to read it. And the modern version as well, because this modern version is a translation of this part. Okay, so make sure you've done those things before continuing. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is look at question 1. Read the quotations on the sheet. These are things which Macbeth has said or which have been said about him. So here are the quotes. That's the first task. You just need to read about them and figure out what they are saying, which luckily this part has done for us. So we know that he's brave, we know that he's laughing in the face of danger and luck, the idea that he chopped his way through to Macdonald. So with bloody execution, he's very violent, and he didn't even have time to shake hands, say goodbye, before he split him open. Navel is from the belly, top of the head. So very violent, we know from there. Question 2, what words are used to describe Macbeth? Highlight the words on the sheet and explain what they show. So what words I would pick out, and we want to pick out these words. We don't want to pick out the ones in the modern version. You need to look at these ones. So I'm going to pick out brave, deserves, disdaining, smoked, bloody, valour, nor bade farewell to he unseamed. I'm going to pick those ones, okay, and we're going to talk about why I've chosen those. So my response to question 2 would be, I'm just going to check, yes it is in bold. So here I would say, okay, brave, and I might go as far as to say the adjective, because it's a describing word, brave, tells us that. Now, you don't want to go on to say that he is brave, okay, because that's pointless. Tells us that Macbeth does not fear anything. So I am saying he's brave, but in a different way. Okay, my next one, deserves. Deserves. Now, you could read into and make that a sentence. The word deserves, that's a verb. So I'm going to put that in a sentence. The verb deserves tells us that he has earned that title description. Okay, he has earned it. He has worked hard to be considered brave. Disdaining fortune. Now, if we look down here, that meant that he was laughing at luck. Okay, so disdaining, if I hover here with synonyms, despising, scorning, he's not afraid, he thinks he's better than luck. So here, disdaining fortune, verb, disdaining, and I'm not going to say tells us again because that's getting a bit repetitive, shows us that Macbeth does not believe in luck, or you could say that he's not scared of luck. Smoked, the verb smoked informs us that Macbeth did, you could say killed Macdonald quickly. The adjective bloody reveals that he is violent. So here I've done it a few times, and what I want you to look at are the different ways that I have said tells us, shows us, informs us, and reveals. Okay, they're all saying the same thing, but it's just not repetitive. So I've already given you lots of ideas there. Okay, the next thing we're going to be looking at is question 3. How is Macbeth first introduced to the audience? Write a paragraph with a quotation to answer this question. Now, what we're going to do is first pick our quotation that we're going to use. I'm going to take the first one because it's straightforward. Feel free to use the ideas that I'm talking about, but please don't copy this exactly because that just shows me that you haven't thought of your own ideas. So, for brave Macbeth, so I need to first of all rephrase the question. Macbeth is first introduced to the audience as, now here's where it's tricky. I don't want to say brave. I don't want to say this because that just says exactly what I'm about to say. So I need to rephrase it. So a good way to say brave instead as someone who is fearless. Now you could go on to say this is supported, oh goodness me, supported by the quotation for brave Macbeth. You could do it that way, or you could say this is revealed or shown when it calls him brave Macbeth. Okay, and what I've done there is just by rephrasing it, I've embedded it into my sentence so it flows as one. Now what I need to do is talk about this word and actually how does it make the audience think about him. So the adjective, remember, the adjective brave informs the audience that Macbeth is a strong and, what's another word we could use? A strong and, I've already said fearless. Sorry, my brain's gone completely blank. Courageous, let's use that one. And courageous leader. Now, I could go a step further here and talk about what the writer was trying to do and why the audience feels this way. So you could say that Shakespeare, who wrote the play, or the writer, Shakespeare has presented him this way to show Macbeth as a suitable king for later on in the play, as we know that he gets told he's going to be king. The audience would think that he would be a good king as he is not afraid. As he is unafraid, you could say. Later on it's got this little thing here because you could just say later in the play. So what I've done is I've used this simple structure that I often refer to in my lessons, and it's like a P paragraph. I have my point, I have my evidence, and instead of another E, I say analysis. And then what I've done is I've added a little bit of challenge. I've talked about the reader and the writer. Okay, and I'm just going to show you where I've done that. So the writer, I'm going to put in grey. The reader, I'm going to put in that weird blue colour. I'm going to put this one in a lighter blue, just to make it extra confusing. That one in yellow, and let's go for a green. So my writer, I look for the word Shakespeare. That's where I've done this bit. The audience, now the audience is the same thing as the reader. So here I'm going to put that bit in my weird blue colour. Where have I done my analysis? Where have I talked about the quote and the meanings of the words used? I've done that there. And I've done a little bit extra in using the word adjective because that tells us that I really understand the language that's used. Here is my evidence. This is my quote, so that's going to be in yellow. And the point that I'm making is my very first sentence just there. So that's how you structure together a really strong paragraph that includes all of the different things you need. If you're not sure, or you're a little bit nervous about writing this kind of paragraph, you don't need to include the reader and writer. You could just leave it without these parts, okay? That is fine. But if you wanted the extra challenge, there's nothing stopping you having a go at these. So we've answered questions 2 and 3 now. Now we want to think about, why does Shakespeare introduce Macbeth in this way? Think about what's going to happen later in the play. If you had a go at this challenge, you have already nearly answered it. So the challenge, all you would have to do with that are think about these ideas. The witches tell him that he is not only going to be king, but he's going to be Thane of Cawdor, Glamis, and then king. The witches also warn him that he is going to die. And we also know that Lady Macbeth is a strong character from when you watch the animated version. So a couple of things would be going on. By Shakespeare introducing Macbeth in this way, we think at first he is suitable and the right man for these titles, these roles, the Cawdor Thane and Glamis Thane and King. We also think it would be unlikely or difficult for anyone to beat him, let alone kill him, because he's so brave, because he's so violent. However, we do think that Macbeth, because he is violent, maybe he causes a fight leading to his death. So maybe that's why. So here are just some ideas for the challenge part of the task. You can see that doing these few activities has actually taken me around 10 minutes. But for you guys, obviously, it will take longer. So please don't think you have to do it in the same time. So have a look back through this video at what I've talked you through, the words that I've highlighted, how I created this paragraph, and make sure that your question 2 has your words in full sentences. Remember, you should try to include terminology like verb and adjective. If you're not sure, have a look online, or you can always contact me to help you out with that. And I think it would be great if loads of you could have a go at this challenge. Have a good day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.